So I got in a bit of a back and forth on Twitter the other day, everybody, with with somebody. I was criticizing Pete Buttigieg for making a bunch of money. He was the guy who claimed, I'm the only non-billionaire up here on this debate stage. Socialist Bernie Sanders is a millionaire, but I'm not. It sounds like the Pete Buttigieg has a couple genes in common with the Dave Rubin impression, doesn't it? But so he made these claims about, I'm not a millionaire. I'm the only non-millionaire up here. And, he went on, he was signing a, $500,000 book deal. His husband was signing a book deal. He was producing a podcast for $100,000+. I would be nice if somebody would pay me $100,000 for my podcast. That would be nice. Wall Street Pete, Andrew K says, yeah. So, and this person and I were going back and forth, and he was saying, look, like, we don't have time to criticize the Democrats right now. Didn't you notice there was a coup and all of this stuff? They're trying to overthrow the government. Well, they're trying to, destroy democracy because they hate Democrats and whatnot. And I think anyone who's watched my stream more than once quite obviously knows how I feel about the American right. And I mean, I did live coverage. I streamed live the day of the insurrection, the terrorist attack, I'll even call it. And, I've continued to report on it and the developments in it, including in this stream. So I know very well the danger and the concern in the far right. Okay. But this guy was claiming, if you're attacking Democrats, all that does is help them. Now, I replied that I believe I can chew gum and walk at the same time. And criticizing Democrats for elitism, for insiderism, for corporatism, for corruption. It might be legal. There might be legal avenues to make disgusting amounts of money off of speaking to hedge funds and banks, off of owning tons of stock in social media, or consulting for these mega corporations. It might be totally legal for politicians to do that, but I don't think it's ethical. In fact, I think it is a form of legal corruption. And I don't think it hurts the Democratic Party for criticizing them for that, and for, pushing for them to be more, transparent and not to have those conflicts of interest, very clear conflicts of interest. I don't think that hurts the Democratic Party. I think it helps them, makes them a stronger party, because you do give the right. I don't think it's giving the right ammo to criticize Democrats for being in bed with Wall Street and corporate America. I think it gives them ammo when they're in bed with corporate America and Wall Street, because that furthers that that commentary that they are the elite and they don't care about working Americans. So I'm going to talk a little crap on the Democrats right now. Strap in, okay? A pretty concerning thing. Janet Yellen was appointed to as Treasury Secretary. Yes, she's the first woman to serve in that role. But I believe. But let's see. I wanted to get the White House press secretary talking about that. Anyway, so Janet Yellen was appointed. And the thing is, people have been reporting on this for a while now. She made at least $7 million in speaking fees, records show. Now, I'm glad to see that Janet Yellen is not a austerity hawk, because and that Joe Biden isn't pushing for austerity, because we need to spend money right now, to stimulate the economy and meet the challenge of COVID. But she does have a lot of intersecting connections to Wall Street, corporate America. So incoming U.S. Treasury Secretary was paid for events at Goldman Sachs, Barclays, and others. Janet Yellen, incoming Treasury Secretary, she is now confirmed. so she's now officially the Treasury Secretary, has been paid at least $7 million for just speaking engagements at government-regulated banks, consultancies, and hedge funds over the past 2 years, according to newly disclosed documents. So for consulting and all the other things like that. The former Federal Reserve Chair disclosed a list of more than 50 paid speaking events for financial firms that include $67,500 from Goldman Sachs. Guys, is any speech worth that much? Jesus. $54,000 from an event at Barclays, and $292,500 from a single speech for hedge fund Citadel, whatever. The documents were submitted to the U.S. Office for Government Ethics as part of Yellen's efforts to secure the top role at the Treasury Department. So guys, this is the Treasury Secretary who's, basically making tons of money from banks. And Jay Coleman mentions from Melvin Capital. Yeah, and that includes I'm trying to look for it here. Some of these companies that are losing out in the GameStop situation. So this does not do anything to help Democrats' reputation as being the elite and or serving the elite and being pro-corporate and all of that. So let's see here. Another interesting thing. So there's a really good website you guys should know about called Sludge. It's at readsludge.com. It might seem like a weird name, but it's kind of hearkening back to muckraking journalism of Upton Sinclair, right? Which they get into the sludge and they really do look at the money and they follow the money, and they're very, very good about that. It's totally independent. The Sludge, we're relentlessly uncovering corruption. And this is Jamie Harrison. He's the new leader of the Democratic Party, of the Democratic National Committee. Biden to pick former corporate lobbyist Jamie Harrison for DNC chair. During the Obama administration, Harrison lobbied for some of the Hill's top spenders, including big banks, big oil, and a coalition of coal companies that fought climate regulations. President-elect Biden will name Jamie Harrison as his pick for the chair of the DNC, according to reports. Harrison, whose name has been floated in the press as the likeliest, candidate. Let's see. He was recently the U.S. Senate candidate in South Carolina. He was running against Lindsey Graham, I believe. From 2008 to 2016, Harrison was the principal at the corporate lobbying firm, the Podesta Group, that's John Podesta, where his clients included some of the Hill's top spenders on lobbying. Harrison's biography on the DNC websites described this period as, quote, after a few years of working in the private sector, Jamie took on his current role as associate chair and counsel of the Democratic National Committee. Harrison's past lobbying clients include Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Wells Fargo, BP America, Bank of America, and many others. Wells Fargo, that's just the bank that was, making accounts for its own clients and, running up, making fake accounts, committing crimes. They were criming it up, guys. Let's see. According to lobbying disclosure, Harrison had previously worked as floor director and counsel for Representative James Clyburn, right, who he helped hand the nomination to Joe Biden, by endorsing him in South Carolina. From 03 to 06, he's said to have been put forward for chair in part of through Clyburn's crucial support. With the Podesta Group, Harrison lobbied for large corporations. Boeing when the company was lobbying on the defense funding bill, Lockheed when the contractor was also lobbying on defense appropriations, Wells Fargo when the bank was lobbying on the Dodd-Frank financial reform bill, BP America when the oil giant was lobbying on a clean energy bill that aimed to reduce global warming, Bank of America when the company was lobbying on patent reform and derivatives market transparency, and the American Coalition of Clean Coal Energy when the group is lobbying on renewables and other clean energy topics. Guys, this is why the Democratic Party is in need of reforming. This is why Bernie Sanders was the guy of choice. And because as much as Joe Biden is doing these executive orders that are good and we can recognize as progressive and good things to do, whether it's ending the federal contracts with private prisons or the climate, taking the Paris Climate Accords, re-entering, but taking it even farther than that, or he is moving against fossil fuel in a big way. The LGBTQ protections, whether it's in the military or now the private sector, these are all good things that Joe Biden is doing. But we're seeing here some of what the Democratic Party is known for, where you have these apparatchiks that are totally in bed with big industry, private corporations. And it's not good. Here, look, Biden's State Department nominee is a walking, talking conflict of interest. This is also in Sludge. And we're talking about Blinken, right? Anthony Blinken, Tony Blinken, right? I've already read quite a bit from all this. But look, he did a bunch of consulting work. Here's a bunch of the multinationals he advised: Blackstone, FedEx, GLG, Microsoft. Oh, you ever heard of this little company, Microsoft? Anybody? Pine Island Capital Partners, AT&T, Boeing, Facebook. Okay, this and LinkedIn. This is what I wanted to talk about. At Westec, Blinken lent a hand to defense contracting giant Boeing, tech and internet companies Microsoft, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Uber. Okay, so these are companies, the right wing already has its talking point that big tech is stacked against them. Now we have a Secretary of State who is consulting Facebook and LinkedIn and Uber. Uber is responsible for tanking hundreds of millions of dollars into a ballot proposition, breaking records for political spending on a single ballot proposition here in my state of California to, not allow gig economy workers like Uber drivers to get benefits, to keep them contractors, when the state specifically passed legislation so that they couldn't do that anymore. So to give their employees benefits. They spent more money on this one ballot proposition, Prop 22, to prohibit that from happening than it would have cost to just give everyone benefits, because it's about screwing over the labor market. Obama's White House, some of Obama White House officials, formerly Obama White House officials, were working on tailoring that legislation to help it pass through California and lobbying for it and all of that. So, this is, guys, this type of insiderism is not good for the Democratic Party. It's not good for, it gives the right and the populist right, which we have seen is so clearly a fascist movement, right? As they tried to overturn, the election results with violence. Now we're seeing this type of insiderism that and corporate hegemony that is bad. I mean, it's part of what, it's weird. You got to always expect the right to lie shamelessly. But at the same time, if you're giving them good arguments, well, then, and you're putting up candidates like this and putting people in power who have these conflicts of interest, what are you doing here? And here, check this clip out. This is AOC streamed live on Twitch yesterday. Keep in mind, she's of the Justice Democrats who take no corporate PAC money, right? And Bernie Sanders didn't take corporate PAC money either. And they talk about getting money out of politics. Here's just a quick little point she made. She was because people were surprised that she was upset with Robinhood for blocking people from buying GameStop stock, and because why would you be surprised that a progressive lawmaker would be against big moneyed interests, crowding out the little guy with their power? But listen to what she has to say.
Go on my phone, except not me, because I don't believe members of Congress should own individual stock, so I don't have any. But
let's hear that again.
I don't believe members of Congress, except not me, because I don't believe members of Congress should own individual stock, so I don't have any. But
so doesn't believe members of Congress should own individual stocks, or individuals in Congress should own stocks. I agree. That should be a law. I mean, they shouldn't have that. Our senator here in California, Dianne Feinstein, we just found out that she didn't disclose her husband's stock earnings. Okay. And so this is a big problem. Nancy Pelosi's stock holdings. You know, a lot of these. Dianne Feinstein was even caught up in some of what we were criticizing Loeffler and Perdue in Georgia for doing, which is selling a bunch of stock after a private coronavirus briefing before the public knew how bad it was getting. They went and sold a bunch of stock. Dianne Feinstein did that too. I am not a cheerleader for a political party. I will criticize the Democratic Party, even though that's the way I vote, because I want the party to be stronger. I want the party to live up to the ideals that it's been claiming to stand for.